Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of where Issei Hyoudou became the true dragon god of Grand Order. What does happen when you are abandoned by your only helping hand? It would break anyone, right? It does, for an unfortunate individual that went by the name Issei Hyoudou. He was suddenly called, only to give a frightening news that he is no longer part of the Occult Research Club. Soon, days turned to a week, and rumors started to spread about the Red Dragon Emperor. Uncanny and horrifying rumors about them. Eventually, he is tragically killed before he disappears from existence into an unknown world. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now let's get into part 1. The battlefield is hell itself. There's no hope to be had on one. There is nothing but unspeakable despair. Just a soulless crime we call victory, paid for by the pain of the defeated. But humanity has never recognized this truth. And the reason is that, in every era, a dazzling hero has blinded the people with their legends and kept them from seeing the evil of bloodshed they bring. True human nature has not advanced a step beyond the Stone Age. In Maya Kuratsugu, Issei was riding his bike back to the Occult Research Club. He had just gotten his first contract, and he was happy to reveal it to them as it was a very big achievement. It was a step in the right direction. He had a perverse grin as he knew that things have been going well for him. He may perhaps ask Rias to show her cleavage or breasts. It has been a good day for the Red Dragon Emperor since he had defeated Riser and saved Rias from being wedded to Riser. She knew that she owes a lot, and has also been staying in his house alongside Asia. Seriously, partner, when will you stop looking at women in such a manner? Drake commented with a sigh. His perverted attitude did sometimes get on his nerves, but it was not too harmful. Like he did not sexually assault or harm anyone, although he did comment on their body, which annoyed the girls. Additionally, he was also perverted to some extent, although, unlike Issei, he won't be exclaiming them out in the open. Mondrag, it is not that she won't do it. All I ask is to see and maybe feed her breasts. Although, I don't want to pressure if she is not comfortable with it. Issei added, this side of Issei that was present in him. He was not the type to force himself or force another girl to do something she never wanted. Additionally, if Rainer and were a thing, he planned to sell all his porn and other hero games if their relationship worked out. But alas, nothing ever goes as planned. I guess, but partner, you will fall into deep trouble if you continue this. Although, I shouldn't be surprised at this point. Drake spoke with a sigh, as he continued, many of my hosts did amass many women's affection and attraction in their lifetimes, so it is no secret that you may get a harem. Really, you mean it? Issei asked with an excited tone, as Drake responded with a grin, I think, if you do it right, then your chances of getting a harem is pretty high. Oh yeah, Issei exclaimed into the night sky. He was truly happy, and this week has been the best for Issei. Issei started to drive off towards the Occult Research Club. However, you know what they say, all good things come to an end. Scene change. Occult Research Club building, 7 p.m. Issei had entered in the Occult Research Club with a smile. It was genuine, unlike a perverted one. However, it soon went away when he saw the looks of either seriousness or outright anger. He looked around to see Kiba looking sad, but he did not know why. Soon his answers would have been revealed and it would change his life forever. President, I have some good news to share. I have finally gotten a new contract. My first new contract after a very long time. Issei spoke with a smile, trying to ease out the tension in my room. But the club president was not in a mood to hear them as she dismissed them immediately. The club president was none other than Rias Gremory as she spoke coldly. Yeah. Whatever. Rias spoke with a dismissive tone as she continued while shaking her head, but that is not why I want to speak to you. There is something more serious that I want to talk to you. President, what happened? Issei's tone changed to concern. He did not understand why, but he had a bad feeling about what is going to happen. I want to talk about your perversion, Issei. It is getting out of hand. Issei felt red. She never thought she would go after the very trait that made him and his two friends ostracized by the rest of the Kwa Academy. It was even the same thing that made his parents, which would support him, almost give up on him. He did not know they loved him regardless of how he is. I understand. If you want, I will attempt to change myself. Issei spoke with an understanding tone. His perversion is the reason why he got into trouble most of the time. It is too late for that, Issei. The one who spoke was Akino, as she also had a look of disdain. Just how much they hate him, Issei thought with horror. Drake himself had a bad feeling about this. He tried to tell Issei to get out of there, but there was nothing he could do. It felt like Issei isolated himself from him, and he feared what would happen next. What do you mean? It is never too late to change oneself. Issei spoke, his tone had a bit of desperation mixed in it. He had a very bad feeling of what is going to happen next. He did not want to be abandoned by the orc. He had already been abandoned twice in his childhood, and he did not want a repeat of that happening again. We want results, perv, not false promises. The one who spoke was Kaneko. Her tone was monotone, but her facial expression and tone was enough to say a very different story as Rias then spoke announcing her decision. Kaneko is right. Your perversion is getting out of hand. I get the fact that you saved me from Riser and I am not going to lie. I am grateful for that. I also expected you to become stronger and you to not be a pervert, not immediately, but as time passed, it has been almost weeks since the fight, but there is no sign of that change in you, Issei. Ria spoke coldly as Issei could feel the pressure increase, almost shuddering the Red Dragon Emperor as he looked down in the way as she continued, henceforth, I have decided. You will no longer be a part of the Occult Research Club until you change permanently. I don't want your perversion to tarnish the orc as well as their members' reputation. You will only be welcomed when one of us asks you to enter. Ys felt the world collapse around him. Every word, every phrase was like a light spear to the heart. It reminded him of the words Rainer spoke to him. She often spoke of disgraceful words of him, and he was beginning to see no difference between this Rias and Rainer. Suddenly someone spoke. Issei, I tried to oppose their decision. I also stated that you will change, but there was nothing I could do. They outvoted me, and the worst part, we were outnumbered. It was 3 against 2. Asia also failed to save you from this decision. Kiba spoke sadly. He was truly helpless in this endeavor of his, says Asia, then spoke with sheer sadness. Tears were falling from her eyes. I am sorry I failed to help you despite what you did for me. Please forgive me, Asia exclaimed with too much of guilt. She tried to help, as she kept crying. Issei only took one last look at them and spoke sadly. I see. He looked towards Asia and Kiba and spoke, thank you for supporting me, but this is the last time we may be seeing each other. Asia and Kiba fell through dread. Their whole orc was divided on the separation of Issei. Issei then looked at Rias and asked a question. Press no, Rias. Can I ask you one final question before I leave? Go ahead. Rias spoke coldly as Issei asked, is it possible for someone of high-class status to identify if there is a fallen angel in the town? Yes. So what? Issei's got the answer he needed. His hair covered his face as he spoke coldly. I see. Well, Rias, hope you are happy with your freedom, cause don't expect me to be the same after this. Rias and the others felt a shudder at Issei's cold tone. There was no reason for him to help this bitch ever again. She has shown her true colors. He soon walked away as Asia and Kiba, who had heard everything, had an idea of what Issei understood as they spoke. You can have our resignations too from Issei. Kiba spoke coldly and angrily. He had now lost an additional comrade because of what she has done, as Asia continued. I am done too. Goodbye. You will have our letters tomorrow. What is the meaning of this? Rias exclaimed angrily as Kiba spoke coldly to him. I see Issei as a friend, a comrade, and unlike you, I don't see him as a tool. I remember the good things he has done for us, and I am not abandoning him. Goodbye. And don't expect to sleep in our rooms ever again. Asia spoke coldly as the duo soon left. Rias gritted her teeth in fury. How dare they defy her? She was going to make them regret. She then spoke. They will regret their decision soon enough. Oniko and Akino nodded, knowing that them supporting Issei will only get them in trouble. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Arcadia Issei, Chibi's Algo Issei and Chibi Concept Issei. Hearing about this and beating the shit out of this universe Rias. 1 week later, Gua Academy, 9:30 a.m. It has been a week since his expulsion as Issei was seen lying on the ground. His clothes have been stinking of sweat. The first change was that Issei refused to peek, much to their friends' surprise and anger at first. But when Asia explained the situation to them, they lost any and all respect they had for Rias, Akino, and Kaneko. They did not pressure Issei for peeking ever again, however. This, instead of increasing and bettering his reputation, even tarnished it further. The reason being that rumors started to circulate 2 days ago. These rumors were circulated due to Issei's expulsion being public information as a result. These rumors got to the point where Issei was framed for raping the orc, or even attacking the orc, which caused the Kendo duo to beat him to death. Along with the rest of the orc, additionally the attacks almost become on a daily basis. Just as he was about to sleep, someone ambushed him with the kendo stick as Issei exclaimed, "Ow! What the hell? Get out of here, you rapist!" One of the kendo girls spoke with anger and hatred in her voice as Issei responded, "But I did not even do anything. You lie now, leave before we torture you just like yesterday." The other kendo girl spoke with anger in her voice as Issei only rushed outside with tears in his eyes. Almost everyone in Core Academy hated him except for a few that knew the rumors were not true. Some of the kendo girls were laughing seeing this as Issei's fate. Eventually he reached the same park where everything had started. He remembered on how he couldn't even go to his parents' home due to the rumors as he did not know what they will speak. He feared that they may suffer because of him. He did not want to do anything with anyone as a voice almost snapped him out of his daze. "Partner, look at you. Just how much has changed in the past few days. You were weak but you were stable, but now you are even worse. So you really think because of those bitches that you should give up on life itself?" Drake exclaimed angrily as Issei spoke. "So are you going to abandon me too, Drake?" Issei's tone was of no emotion. He felt like he was going to have no hope ever in his life. He felt like his life was snatched from him. Drake then spoke angrily. No. I would rather take my own life than to abandon you. Issei, forget about those bitches. You are the Red Dragon Emperor, you are my host. And I don't want to see you miserable. Don't think about the rumors, and just move on. I will train you and make sure you are ready. Right now it is you and me against the world. I won't let your weakness affect you in any way. Now come on, let's leave this place and come back." After months, Drake's words brought a spark of motivation in Issei's eyes. "I guess you are right, but where do we even go?" Drake could still feel the hopelessness in his voice as he continued. "Issei, I know things will seem hopeless right now, but I promise you, it will get better for you. You have my word, I will make sure you get the better of your life. As for where we can go, you can head to the mountains, where we will train." Greg exclaimed with a serious tone. He was happy that Issei was going to change, as Issei nodded. "You're right. I can become better, I must become better. I will become better," Issei exclaimed with happiness, as Drake responded in kind. "That's the spirit, Issei. Now come on, let's go." However, just as Issei was about to leave, someone struck him with a light spear at his stomach, bringing him to death's door. It was a fallen angel who flew off into the distance. Issei fell to the ground as blood started to pour from his body. "Is this really the end?" Issei spoke with dread in his voice, as Drake tried to help him by sending healing energy to Issei as he exclaimed, No, not again. Why does fate have to be so cruel with this boy? Drake roared into the sky with anger as someone approached him and spoke. "Don't worry, boy, your misery will soon come to an end. I will assure you, where I am sending you will bring people that will make your life happy. Until we meet again, boy." The person was described to be a bearded person with a smile on his face. He seemed to be a bit of an old man. Before Issei and Drake could react, they were sent to this world, as the man had a smile as he spoke. "I hope you enjoy, kid." The man seemed to have pity for the boy, due to the amount of injustices he received. He shook his head and turned his gaze towards the direction of Core Academy. "You will have a very rude awakening, most of you, once he comes back. That is something that I have a feeling will happen." The man teleported out of there, leaving a pool of blood in his wake. Scene change. Unknown location, 6:30 p.m. Issei rolls into what seems to be a laboratory as a man rushed to him. He was stated to be a person with light orange hair and wore a lab coat. He then spoke with dread. "Someone get help, the man here is dying." The man picked up Issei's corpse and headed to a location where he would be safe. Unknown to anyone, this encounter will change a lot of things in both worlds. 2 years later, Issei looked around in Chaldea as a lot of things have happened. He cited how things have become. He was confused at first about what the organization does, but when he found out the organization's main goal is to save humanity from extinction, Issei accepted immediately. He joined and was one of the few candidates to become Chaldea's master. He was one of the top picks due to his sacred gear, as it was foreign to them and they wanted to know its capabilities. Additionally, they also offered to remove the evil pieces in his body, much to his happiness. But tragedy happened and Chaldea was bombed, ending up with majority of the candidates critically injured with only Issei remaining. In the end, he became Chaldea's last master. Issei ended up dealing with all the singularities and defeated Gosha. He also dealt with the lost bolts as well. Issei was able to accomplish many achievements during his time in Chaldea. During his time he continued training himself as he didn't want to look weak and useless. He asked many servants for help in training. Issei was motivated, hardworking, and kept pushing himself to greater heights, which earned the respect and loyalty of his servants. His perversion was gone, and when his servants heard of how it gone, they held immense hatred for the Quiz students. Issei considers his servants as his family as he bonded and fought alongside all of them in the singularities and earned their trust and loyalty. He even earned the trust of Gilgamesh Archer because he saw the fire of his eyes and told him his reason for doing this. Issei told him about his betrayal and how he would get them back. Gilgamesh laughed and said that he would be glad to give him the assistance on showing those mongrels the power of the King of Heroes. When many servants heard about his past, they all wanted to help him, and some servants wanted to join on the beatdown they're going to give to his tormentors, especially the orc. Additionally, Issei also became slightly similar to Gilgamesh as he looked down on devils, calling them filthy bats or filthy devils. During one of their training sessions, Issei felt a strange power in him and decided to figure what it is. He went and talked with Da Vinci and asked her to see what this is. They did, and she speculated it is similar to the class cards. They went and tested it out in the training room. It turns out, he had access to fuse with any of the servants he has a bond with. Issei takes the appearance of his servant, and the servant could use the boosted gear and its all abilities, thus increasing the servant's mana level to an even stronger position. The upgraded boosted gear had no limitations. As a result, due to its power evolution, it entered into a new variation, which was basically a gauntlet with purplish crimson gems along with crystalline claws and surroundings. It also seemed to have gems throughout its body penetrating through the gauntlet. After that, the smarter servants concluded that Issei can use up to 12 servants before passing out, with the primary one being the one to be able to use the boosted gear. It's been a couple of months since that incident of Issei testing his new powers. Every day he would test his limit with those powers and train himself every day. Issei is right now with Tomomo no Mei, the first servant he summoned ever, and his self-proclaimed wife. She was a fox woman, with pink hair. She often was seen hanging around Issei, who initially did not want to do anything with her, but eventually he relented, and she helped him cure his broken heart and helped him. But she was not the only one. Several others were also responsible for this, but we will get to them later. Darling, what do you think we should do for today? Issei looked at her and responded, maybe we can have a talk with the servants. We need to see what we can do next. That is also true. Tamama would often get jealous like many of the other girls with Issei's harem. But she would remain devoted to him. As a result, she was someone that many would wish be by their side. Issei saw his servants as family, but he was close to some particular ones, which comprised of Amia Archer, Gilgamesh, Castor Vlad III, Diarmuid, Siyu, Edmund, Karna, Arjuna, Siegfried, Charlemagne and his harem, out of which Tamama was comprised of. However, none would have a very well bond than his best friend and mentor figure Dr. Romani, Olka Solomon, who had sacrificed himself in the final battle, allowing Issei to beat Gosha once and for all. He remembered his final words. In mind and soul, I still remain a human being. Issei felt sad Romani was the one that saved him from the light spear that was thrown by a fallen angel and worked on his trust. Romani knew that he was having trust issues, and he was the first Issei trusted and was the one who suggested Issei to have faith in the other servants. And here he was, years ago. Romani played a major role in Issei's story. Momo kept her hand on Issei and spoke, "It's alright, Ice. We all will miss the doctor." "Yeah? Anyways, Romani wouldn't want us to be sad." Issei nodded as he spoke. "You are right on that one. Let's go, the others are waiting for us." Issei nodded as suddenly a tremor was caused in this place, which made the duo stagger with someone rushing towards Issei. The man was Siegfried, who was described to be a tall man with silver-gray hair. His body was encased in radiant silver-woven plate armor. He carries his phantasmal greatsword, Baomeng, on his back. His exposing skin was dyed brown with the blood of a dragon. That skin was composed of dragon scales that wouldn't be wounded by any blade or spell. All except for a single part in the middle of his back. His tall stature, slender body, and tan-colored skin are proof of him having been soaked in the blood of a dragon. "Siegfried, what's going on?" Issei asked with worry as Siegfried responded. "I don't know. I presumed you would be the one to know. Do you know who is responsible for this?" The boosted gear came to life and Drag spoke. "I think this is either Da Vinci's doing. Her experiments must have gone crazy." Issei sighed. "This is not the first time this has happened." Tomomo then spoke. "We must act." Tomomo wanted to continue, however all of a sudden the rumbling reduced. Issei was worried for his servants and hoped they would be alright. His link was still present, meaning they are fine, but he would have to check on them to make sure they are actually fine. "Well, I guess that does it. Let's head to her lab to make sure she did not do anything." Issei was unable to finish when suddenly someone came rushing to him. This was Leonardo da Vinci. She was described to be an ideal beauty. "Master, you might want to check this out." Issei looked at what da Vinci had brought him. As he became completely pale, he then spoke with horror. "No way." Issei looked at Tomomo and spoke. This is my home world. I recognize the place. This is Qua Academy. Qua Master, the same place that they are here." Siegfried spoke with anger, as Issei nodded in response. "I am concerned about my parents. I couldn't face them because of those cursed rumors, but now, Romani asked me to talk to them." "You should talk to them, darling. Plus I have a feeling that the filthy bat would try to go after your parents." Tomomo spoke to Issei, as he nodded as he growled in anger. Every servant hated the Gremry peerage, excluding Kiba and Asia. This was the worst in those that were extremely close to Issei. "Master, we should head there as soon as possible." Issei nodded to Tomomo's advice as he nodded. He needed to head there as soon as possible. Scene change. Idu Residence, Qua Town, 7:30 p.m. Issei was reaching his home when he felt a sudden surge of power. This was demonic energy, as Issei widened his face in horror. "Master, this is demonic energy. You were right. This belongs to that horror of the Gremry family," Da Vinci warned Issei, as he gritted his teeth in fury as he rushed inside to see where his parents in Asia were. Meanwhile, Ria's attacking his parents with her power of destruction. Ria's failed to notice him due to her being distracted. "It's been 2 months since he has gone. You better tell me where I say hi to is, or else." Gore did not know where his son is. He heard rumors about him raping the orc, but that was not the case. He refused to believe it without much proof, with Mickey and another also thinking the same. He was on the ground, battered and bruised. Asia was knocked out cold, while Mickey was protecting the two. Boru spoke with anger in his voice. We have no clue. How dare you barge into our house and harm Asia? We gave you a place to stay, and this is how you treat us," Goru exclaimed with anger, for Rias to scoff. Being the spoiled girl she is, she could care less on what they think of her. They are lowly humans, that's it. It was actually easy to manipulate the situation, and with the rumors spreading, your son got exactly what he deserves. That pervert was so easily to manipulate. "You!" Gora growled as he had an idea on what Rias had done. There was a chance that she had spread those rumors about her son. He wanted to smack her but was powerless to do so. Now, Diarrheas was ready to attack his parents only for someone to punch her so hard that her jaw was sent flying. She was sent a few meters back and crashed into a nearby wall, almost denting it. Guru and Mickey looked in shock. It was Issei that had returned as Issei glared at Rias, who was dazed by who had attacked her. He turned around to see his parents having tears in their eyes, as they rushed to embrace him while shouting. Issei the hairdo couple were happy that their son had returned. Issei returned the hug as he spoke. It's okay, Mom and Dad. I have returned. The both look at Issei with tears in their eyes as he soon turned his gaze to Rias, who was recovering as he had spoke seriously. Mom, Dad, you need to head inside my room, take Asia with you and lock the room. Don't open till you hear my voice. Issei's words made Mickey protest as she responded. But we can't leave you alone. And Issei cuts her off and speaks. I will explain everything later, but for now, I want the two of you to remain safe along with Asia. I will deal with her personally. Mickey wanted to protest, but Guru understood this. He was able to send Rias flying with one punch, and he had returned when Issei's parents were in danger, and he knew that he will keep them safe. Very well, Issei, we shall go, Mickey responded, but Guru. A serious look from Guru made Mickey nod as she acted quickly. Rias tried to attack them only for Issei to block with a magic circle. As he gave Rias a shivering glare, he waited for his parents to leave with Asia as he angrily spoke. You bitch, you have some nerve of entering my house and attacking my parents. Issei spoke while deciding to fuse with her. He was going to make her regret every attacking her parents. You really think you stand a chance against me, Issei? You couldn't beat Riser without cheating, and here you are. Do you think you have a chance against me? Rias spoke while releasing her aura, but Issei only remained calm. He was seething, but he vowed to not let his anger get the best of him. He learned this lesson while training under his servants. Though I will show you, I am not the same boy you once betrayed. Issei growled as he spoke coldly. Ready for this, scathack? You bet, master. Let's teach this red-haired bitch a lesson she won't forget. Issei started to glow as a bright light appears in front of him, as he transforms into Scathack, who was described to an extremely beautiful woman. She has long purple hair and red eyes, and wears a full body outfit that highlights her curvaceous body, with metallic shoulder pads. She is carrying a second gay, bold alternative, and wears a black veil over her head and short cloak over her shoulders, connected by the shoulder pads. So, you really have transformed into a girl. You really, Rias could complete as Issei Scathack closed the distance between them as she stabbed her with the spear, making her cough up blood as the two spoke with a mocking tone. Is that the best you have got? Rias were Emery. Issei Scathack spoke with a mocking tone, causing her to get angry. However, before she could react, she was sent flying by Scathack using her spear. Scathack's goal was to get her outside of his house. Scathack worked quickly as she followed it up with a kick. Issei had left the door open due to fear of what would happen to his parents. Rias was sent to the doorstep with her wound in her stomach as she shouted with fury. Why you? Issei Scathack did not let her react as red light started to gather the spear and throw it, sending her flying outside the house through the wound she was hit with. Issei Scathack decided to not use noble pantheism since that would kill this weak devil. Rias was sent crashing all the way to Core Academy as a dent in the building wall was shown. She was out cold, and her body was bleeding and had several scars on it. The spear returned back to Issei Scathack, who reverted back to his ordinary state. That bitch, Issei growled. She had the nerve to harm and even tried to kill his parents. He rushed to the room where Issei instructed them to lock themselves with Asia as he knocked on the door and called them out. Mom, Dad, it's me. Issei's words made his parents open the door as Guru asked, Is she gone? Yes, and she won't be bothering us for a while. Are you two okay? The duo nodded as Guru explained. Asia is also fine, Issei. The woman Rias was quiet about the matter, and Asia told us about it. We immediately kicked her out, with your big sister being the one to do so. That was until today, where she barged in and attacked us. But what happened? Why did she attack us? Gora asked Issei, to which Issei wanted to respond, but Mickey asked, Worst of all, where were you? 2 months you never kept any contact with us, or even told us anything. What happened to you? Or where you went? Nobody knows, even your older sister was looking for you, Mickey retorted as Issei widened his eyes and spoke, marry me is here. Yes, she is, but what happened to you? You have a lot to answer to, Mickey exclaimed with tears in her eyes, as Issei looked down and spoke. Sit down, you all might want to hear this. Issei explained everything, not hiding anything from them in any manner, as he revealed what he had done, and where he had gone, and what he was doing. To prove it further, he fused with Siegfried, showing he was not lying, and even showed the boosted gear as further proof. The Hyoudou couple was shocked by this revelation. Their son being a hero that saved humanity in another world and defeated a being like Gosha made them proud. But they had the biggest question: why did Issei not show up to their house before going to Chaldea? Issei soon explained that as well. Pause. Mom, Dad? The rumors. I did not want to show myself because people tortured and harassed me for some false rumors. I feared that you may hate me because of those rumors. That is why I remained outside, sleeping on park benches and not bathing. That was until I transported to Chaldea. I say, those were rumors. We refused to believe them until there was proof, and even then, we wouldn't until we hear it from you. And we know you may be a pervert, but you wouldn't fall that far to do such heinous actions. Guru spoke with tears in his eyes. He hated Riaz and the quiz students for causing such problems. He wanted to personally deal with them, but what can a human do against a high-class devil? Your dad is right, you are our son, that is the end of the ID. We know you won't do such heinous actions. You aren't the type to do so. Issei teared up as he hugged his parents, who returned the hug back. He was always welcome in his house. The Hyoudou couple hated what Riaz had done to him by kicking him out of the orc and using him as a toy. But Issei regretting making his parents worry as they soon split up after some time. And this time, Amo, can we meet her? We can meet them later, on a holiday, and she is not the only one. Many servants are dating me, and have agreed to set up a harem. Guru only laughed heartily in response. That's my boy making a harem, with the people you love. Mickey responded by smacking her husband's head, as she spoke. Now. Don't get ahead of yourself. Mickey turned to Issei and spoke, and Issei, you better take care of those girls, right? Mickey gave a sinister smile which made Issei shudder. His mother's smile was even more scarier than Gosha. He would rather have himself fighting the beast than dealing with his mother's wrath. He nodded in understanding as someone else also rushed inside, as this was revealed to be Mary. Mary was the woman who Issei called was Issei's older sister. She was a beautiful brown-haired woman with long hair and brown eyes. She wore a purple sweater and white dress, along with purple shoes. Mom, Dad, are you Mary? Couldn't complete when she saw her younger brother come back. She had tears in her eyes and did not hesitate to rush towards Issei and gave him a bone-crushing hug. Ouch, 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 that hurts, marry me. Mary cried onto her brother. She was worried sick for him as Asia soon woke up as she spoke. And Mom? Dad? What happened? Asia-chan. Both the Hyoudou couple looked to see Asia away cause she turned to see Issei was back. She herself had tears in her eyes as the nun did not hesitate to embrace Issei as well. Both the girls gave Issei a massive hug as Issei soon relented into the hug as well. The two really missed Issei a lot. Issei hugged the two girls as they were crying. The girls missed Issei a lot. This lasted for a moment, as Mary asked, "Where were you?" "When I returned home." "I was told you went missing, so what happened?" Mary spoke as Issei decided to explain everything to the girls yet again, as they both widened their eyes. As Mary growled, she wanted to make Riaz pay for what they had done to her parents. "At Gremory, I will." Issei stopped her and spoke, "I will deal with her, marry me, you can count on it." Mary looked at her brother for a moment, as she turned to him and nodded in response. As she speaks, make it painful. "But how did you deal with Riaz? Last I checked, you did not have a sacred gear, right?" Mary only smiled, as only Asia was aware of this, as she revealed two gauntlets and spoke. "I am the wielder of two long Inus, being innovate clear and tell us karma. Gremory tried to deal with me, but she was powerless against me. Sorry I had to hide this from you, Mom, Dad." "It's fine, Mary-chan. We know you had a good reason. Like Issei and Asia-chan as well." Goro spoke with an understanding tone. As he spoke, "At the very least we all are together. That is all. Gora is right. We are just happy that our family is back together." Mickey spoke with a smile, as Issei nodded, as suddenly Mickey grunted in pain. Mom, Mickey, Issei, Mary, Asia and Gora called out Mickey as Mickey spoke. I am fine. Just my arm is a bit injured. Don't worry, Mom, you can rest. Issei spoke, as Mickey asked, but who will cook for us? I will. In my 2 years I learned how to cook from a certain EMEA. You can leave that to me. Mickey and the others nodded in understanding as they decided to have a normal dinner. Issei fixed the house as well. They were just happy that their family had returned. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Gilgamesh torturing the Chibi Orc for fun as Chibi Mary watches with a grin. The next day. Gua Academy, 9 a.m. Issei and Asia had reached Gua Academy as Issei vowed to make the Kendo Club pay. The so-called protectors will teach them a lesson. Asia? Asia shook her head as she coldly spoke. No, Issei, I am not stopping you. I am going to enjoy making them suffer. Although I am waiting for the day I get my pieces removed from my body. Very well. Issei spoke as the duo entered inside. While they did, several glared at Issei, making mocking comments about him, whom Issei had ignored. They headed inside, as someone was glaring at them. This was Riaz, who still had her wounds. She hated Issei even more now. She already hated him as she had to deal with questioning on Issei's absence, and some were starting to ponder that she was responsible for driving her away. If that happened, she would lose everything. I will make sure you suffer, Issei Hyoudou. Riaz muttered as she headed to her class. She contacted Akino and Kaneko such that she could work together with them to deal with Issei. However, this would be her undoing as Issei already had plans to make her suffer as well. Issei walked into his classroom where he was immediately greeted by Matsuda, Motohama and Kiba, who were all happy for his return. However, not many were happy. Many hated his return since the rumors only saw him as a rapist, and nothing more, nothing less. Issei could care less on what these idiots think of him. So Issei, where were you for 2 months? Matsuda asked with a smile. The perverted duo were no longer perverts, as they changed in the past 2 months. They became ruthless to anyone that dared badmouth Issei. Given that Matsuda was a jock, he was easily able to manhandle most of the student body, excluding the supernatural ones like it was nothing. As for Motohama, he became one of the most smartest students in all of Gua Academy, channeling his intelligence onto other stuff. He got good grades and excelled in almost every school's subject there is. Motohama was no better. He would often mock and chastise anyone that even talked badly about his sei by mocking them, by exploiting and locating their weaknesses. However, even with his intelligence, he was still unable to find who was responsible for the rumors to begin with. Bokuba, he detested Rias to the point of completely refusing her commands, often avoiding her whenever he could. When he heard Issei remove his pawn pieces from Asia, he asked him to do so, which Issei accepted. Of course, this meeting was kept in secret since he would reveal the supernatural to Matsuda and Motohama when he brings them all to Chaldea. I have been on a journey to fix my state. Rest assured, I will tell you everything when the time is right. 'Cause it's a long story, and trust me you will enjoy it. Matsuda and Motohama nodded as suddenly the bell started to ring. He then spoke. I take it you two are going to peep. Both boys denied it and responded. No. We are done with that, and honestly those whores aren't even worth peeping. Matsuda spoke while giving a glance to the Kendo duo which surprised Issei completely. Yep. And so much has been wasted by peeping. I would rather not peep on these worthless bitches ever again. Motohama spoke with annoyance as he added, I would rather watch porn or read hentai than see these girls. Not worth the effort and beatings. You got that one right, they really are bitches, aren't they? The boys nodded in agreement, as they pondered on what they should do next. Unbeknownst to them, Kaneko was keeping tabs on Issei whenever she could. She saw Aria's state, and when it was Issei that did it, she vowed to make him suffer for his actions. Scene change. Issei was roaming outside. He wanted to get some fresh air as suddenly someone attacked with a kendo stick only for Issei to grab it and crush it with his bare hands, much to the girl's shock. He followed it up with a kick aimed at her stomach, sending her flying towards a tree, knocking her out cold. He soon looked around and saw several more kendo students surrounding him led by Caddis and Murayama, the two girls that were primarily responsible in beating him up due to the spread rumors. Seems like the rapist knows how to fight, girls get him. The girls immediately charged at him alongside Kades and Murayama as Issei quickly got into his combat stance. He immediately dodged a strike from one girl. He followed it up with a kick, sending her flying. Another girl tried to strike from behind, only for Issei to grab the girl's hand, twist it, and send her on the ground. He soon followed it with a kick to another girl's chin, breaking her face as her nose was broken, sending her flying towards a small distance, knocking her out cold. One girl tried to strike him multiple times, with him dodging with relative ease. Artoria's training made sure he was ready for anything, as he can easily evade and block swings. As the another charged from him at the behind, he grabbed the girl by her head and slammed her into another as it knocked the two out cold. 3 more girls charged at him as Issei picked up a shunai from one of the knocked out girls as he blocked their stances with relative ease, much to their horror. He overpowered them by pushing them back and followed it up with a kick aimed at one of their chins, almost breaking it. Another was hit multiple times with a kendo stick as Issei showed no mercy. The girl was struck multiple times, causing her to drop her sword and remain defenseless as Issei grinned. These girls were barely a challenge in his eyes. The third one made the mistake of striking from the lower end, only for Issei to overpower the girl by crushing the shunai and sending a strike, causing the girl to be sent flying over a wall, knocking her out cold. "Now, that only leaves you two," Issei spoke with a mocking grin, as he noticed that no one was watching him, except for a certain someone that was hiding in the bushes. He decided to not deal with her just yet. "You bastard, not only do you have the gall to attack us, but you even rape our one Isamas. How dare I say," spoke with a mocking tone. "Blah blah blah, you two girls must be their vagina suckers if you think they are of any values to anyone. Honestly, they just flaunt their beauty around, causing simps like you to flock around them like moths to a fire." Issei then continued, angering the two girls. "Worst, like seriously, who the fuck likes that midget Kaneko? That small cunt doesn't even have a likable trait. She is too dull for even someone to like her. This means y'all are lolicans who like little girls. Absolutely disgusting." Issei spoke with a mocking tone as he continued. "Then we have Akino, the sadistic thunder thought. Like even I saw that whore is a beautiful, but in reality, she is nothing but a piece of shit." The girls couldn't take it anymore as they charged at Issei with their shinies, as they aimed for a head strike, only for Issei to take his shunai and block them with his sword aimed in a defensive position above his head. Before the girls could react, Issei gave a staggering kick to Murayama's gut, making her cough up saliva as she was sent flying. Kades was horrified as Issei did not give her a chance, as he overpowered her with his stronger strength, and he pinned her sword to the ground. He soon used his free hand to grab Murayama by the face and slam her to the ground. Not giving the girl a chance to recover, he stomped on her rib cage, making her cough up. The blow was strong enough to knock her out cold. "How pathetic. I expected you to survive some more." Issei twirled his shini and looked towards Murayama, who was completely shivering in fear. He started walking, which soon turned into running as Murayama tried to flee, only for Issei to strike her in the head, causing her a mild concussion. She was in a complete daze as she dropped her shini. She held her head in pain as Issei soon gave a strike aimed at her chest using his shunai, sending her flying. She was soon knocked unconscious as the last look Murayama had was a look of fear. Not going to lie, this was actually disappointing. Was disappointed. These so-called protectors barely put up a proper fight against him. He could have used his boosted gear or any of his servants, who were more than happy to do so, but he did not see the point of it. They were too weak to even lay a finger on him. However, he would use the servants in his fight against Rios Gremory and her 3 peerage, the student council, and even the devils, if they continued to be a problem. He did not know how Sergich's was, but if he becomes a problem, he can deal with him. He even has the right servants to deal with him accordingly. A certain mother beast would gladly put the Crimson Satan in his place. He dropped his shini and stomped on it, breaking it into wooden chunks as someone spoke inside of his head. "Master, that cat is spying on you." Issei nodded as he thought, "I know, Artoria, speaking of which, ready to shine. It would be my pleasure to do so." Meanwhile, in the bushes, Kaneko watched with utter shock and horror upon seeing on how quickly Issei dismantled and destroyed the Kendo Club without any hesitation or mercy. He brutally tormented each of the girls until they were barely alive or completely knocked out. She had to report this to Rias. I need to inform this to President. That pervert is becoming an even bigger problem. Kaneko tried to leave only for Issei to show up as he spoke. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Cat. Kaneko flinched upon this. How did he know her secret? How did he know the truth? He needed to be dealt with as soon as possible. Kaneko quickly landed a punch only for Issei to block it. As he smirked, Kaneko tried to hit again, only for Issei to kick her really hard in the chest, making her cough up blood. She held it with her free hand in pain, as Issei did not stop there. He grabbed her by the hand and kept slamming her to the ground over and over again. Kaneko was completely bruised and critically wounded. She had a look of fear and horror. He grabbed her by the head and spoke coldly. I wrote peace. It enhances your strength, right? Kaneko couldn't speak as she feared on what Issei will do next. He was not the same pervert that she thought he once was. He was ready to torment and torture her with the Red Dragon Emperor speaking. But without it, you are nothing but a weakling. You don't even use the senjutsu. Why don't you use it against me? I don't know, but I don't care either. You have even more power, and yet you are too much of a weakling to even think of using it against me. Issei looked at her as she was hyperventilating and crying. He did not understand why she would even cry. But he did not care for her either. It would have been a stupid reason on why she was powerless to stop him. Honestly, it is pathetic. You hated me for my perversion, and now look at you. Powerless to stop me, so tell me, you filthy bat. How does it feel? Kaneko couldn't stop crying out of fear as Issei soon slammed her to the ground, causing her to have a concussion. She was barely alive as Issei put his foot on her face as he spoke coldly. You are nothing but a pathetic piece of crap, Kaneko touted you. Issei soon decided to deal with the other two stooges that were in the Occult Research Club as he telepathically spoke to Artoria, knowing she would be more than happy to lay the beat down on the girls. Let's go, Artoria. Scene change. The Occult Research Club, 1:30 p.m. Akeno and Rias were waiting for Kaneko to report. However, someone else showed up as this was revealed to be Issei. He held a beaten and battered up Kaneko Tuju, who spoke with horror. President, please run. Inform Lord Sergichus about Kaneko was unable to complete as Issei threw her at very high speeds towards a wall, knocking her out cold. She had multiple wounds and concussions. You just don't learn, do you? Gremory. Issei spoke with a growl as Akeno was ready to shock him, but Issei did not give a moment as he suddenly merged with Artoria Pendragon, which was its saber variant. Artoria saber was described to be a young woman in her early mid-teens with a slender physique, soft skin, and green eyes. She has finely textured blonde hair that seems as if sprinkled with gold dust. She normally wears shining armor with an old-style dress made from old-fashioned blue cloth underneath. She had a matching cloak and a crown as well. The holy energy emanating from Issei Artoria was astounding as Rias and Akeno were cringing seeing on how strong the holy energy that was as Issei Artoria spoke with a cold tone. Now do you see it? I know what you did to Master, and for that your only sentence is suffering. Akeno used her holy lightning to attack Issei Artoria, who only deflected it with her sword. Before she could react, Issei Artoria blitzed towards Akeno and stabbed her in the gut, making her cough up blood. Akeno screamed in pain as the wound seared even more due to the sword Issei Artoria stabbing her with the sword. Issei Artoria only looked at her with complete and utter disdain before she jumped backwards with a wound in such a condition. She looked towards Issei Artoria with pure anger and fear. You little. Issei Artoria only brought the blade closer as Akeno once again unleashed a surge of several magic circles, unleashing a barrage of several elemental attacks only for Issei Artoria to dodge every last one of them. She noted that the speed of the attacks were beyond pathetic as Issei Artoria spoke. Is that all? Issei Artoria's Excalibur started to glow a slight shade as she dashed towards Akeno, who desperately employs every last circle at her aid, with Rias trying to assist her in taking down using her power of destruction. This time, Issei Artoria stabbed her in the stomach as the wound seared even more. It was a miracle that she survived the wound from the Excalibur once, but this time, she was not lucky. She soon fell down to the ground. One down. Issei Artoria looked at Rias, who was generating her power of destruction as she threw her attack at them, causing a dust explosion, as Rias spoke with a mocking tone. It seems like you are all too weak, Issei. The dust settled down, revealing Issei Artoria barely affected. She grinned, looking at her as she spoke. Let's see if you are powerful enough to survive this. Issei Artoria's Excalibur glowed an even brighter shade as he decided to put Rias in her place. He vowed to make her suffer for everything she had done. As Issei Artorias started to chant the noble phantasm, she held back since more power would end up killing her. This light is the planet's hope. Proof of the life that illuminates this world. Let us end this. Excalibur. The blade was glowing a bright golden color as it started to glow a bright holy. The blade glowed into a giant golden color light as he unleashed onto them. Rias tried to escape, but she was obliterated along with the part of the building where Rias was on, unleashing a huge holy stream of light that was headed towards the upward location. Rias was barely alive. Her full body was completely blackened due to the immense amount of holy light. It was a miracle she survived even after Issei held back the full power, as it would kill her, and killing her would be mercy. Even then she was unable to take a base-level noble phantasm even after the magic being reduced to such an extent. You have no honor or power of a king, you are a disgrace to all kings. Artoria spoke coldly as they walked away. As the light glowed revealing he mentally thanked Artoria as he spoke. Thanks, Artoria. Artoria responded to Issei mentally. No need to thank me. It is the least I could do for you. Yep. Although, now we have to deal with the aftermath of it. Artoria responded with a smile. You are right on that one, Master. But I believe you can handle it. You have servants powerful enough to help you, including Gilgamesh. And don't forget, servants can also use your gear during the fusion. You are right on that one. Issei cut off the mental link. Artoria was the second woman that is in his harem. She often would have small scuffles with Tamamo to spend alone time with Issei, as the latter sighs. Dealing with the harem of servants, with some of them being very powerful, can be taxing. He can only curse his E-rank luck for this situation. Well, pretty short, right? I guess see you all in the next part. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.